Well, interestingly, pretty much through your parents, because I was an attender and performer at the Folk Factory Coffee House, which meets at Restoration, and I've been coming to that for many years. And then back in 2011, I had a desire to access my spirituality more. I went through a number of life changes, and I thought about, where could I do that? And I thought about this congregation, and I came to a service because I thought about your parents, and I thought, well, Bruce and Linda are also members here, so maybe I should try a service here because I really admire your parents. And I came to the service and I just loved it, and I was greeted very warmly when I came as I was walking up the steps, and then I was welcomed very warmly. The service really spoke to me. It was Kathy Ellis was the minister at the time, and the music was wonderful, and I just felt really at home, and I met really interesting people.
By chance. I was back in 1983. I just got married. We just had our first child. I lived 2 blocks away from here. I used to catch the bus on the corner to go to work, and noticed this beautiful building, and one Sunday I decided to venture in.
I lived in the neighborhood. I was shopping around for a church about 25 years ago now. And I knew what UU churches were about, but I didn't know too much about them. But it sounded like they were the kind of church I would be interested in. I was also looking at Quakers, and I found them just a little too quiet.
How did I first discover Restoration? I think Restoration discovered me because I would drive past here a lot of times. Can't even count how many times I've driven past this place. And I've seen and maybe experienced the lawn where they have the flea market first. And I kept saying, one day I'm gonna really go inside. I've never been inside. And I got the opportunity to do a jazz vesper with Kevin Valentine, a vocalist, and he also brought another musician and myself a few years ago. And that's how I actually really got inside. And from that coming inside, I think the first person I met was Peter Johnston. Such a nice man. I still think he's nice, perfect gentleman to this day. And he was such a host for us while we were waiting around and to set up, etc. So I thought that, I wonder if other people are like that here, like Peter. And we did a great show, and they had refreshments. That always helps. Always feed an artist. And so from that, I said, well, the first chance I get, I'm going to come back for their service because I only knew the jazz vesper. And it took me a couple months because of my crazy schedule, but I did come back, and I've been coming back ever since until I joined. I joined in the same year I started coming. That was the summertime, event. I came probably in early September, what time I came back. And I joined in the December that same year.
I think the thing that people seem to have liked most was that I have a way of remembering who they are. When you come to a new place fresh and you settle down in there, you don't really know if you belong yet. But when you come back for the second time, if they still remember you, then they say, oh, maybe these people want me here. And that's a useful position to be in. So yes, I would say that's a valuable tool.
I was a graduate student at Penn. I was new to the city. I'd been here about a year. And I got a call out of the blue from this guy named Bob Holtzman. And I was making money when I was in graduate school by going around to different churches and being substitute and organist. And so he got my name from some list someplace. And he said they needed a substitute in church on Sunday, and could I play? And I said, yes. And then, but I didn't, I was just kind of off and on for a while, but that's how I discovered it.
I first discovered restoration in the summer of 2016. I was trying to find a church in the area to go to, which I live at Stanton and Johnson, and this was close enough. So the first time I came here, I was welcomed with open arms, and I really enjoyed the service.
So, right after the last election that we had, the presidential election, my wife and I really felt the need for some community or like-minded people. We were really paralyzed by the election results, and we had been looking for a congregation to be part of, and UUCR Restoration was on the top of our list to try. So we came here for the first Sunday, and we never left because we just felt right at home. It met all of our needs, just in the welcoming sense of people. That first day we got more hugs, and we walked in, and at the time the pastor was Maria, who was really grounded in social justice, and we heard exactly what we needed to hear. And then meeting people really just felt like this was home, so we didn't look any further.
I really love the community. I really love the people. I love their and our collective commitment to social justice and progressive issues, and I'm just really grateful to find a community such as this in Philadelphia. It gives me a lot of hope for the world.
The search for social justice issues, the camaraderie among people, the friendliness, the food is great, but just the welcoming atmosphere here. And I appreciate the fact that it's small, it's compact, and I like the building. I think that's really what the building attracted me to, because it has that very spiritual feel to it, So it's and today's service about service being part of spirituality, it sort of melds together for me, giving back. So those the big things that I enjoy about the church.
I probably enjoy the love that I see emanating from this church that you don't get from many churches. You get a lot of hypocrisy from other churches. I mean, they say one thing, but they do something completely different. This church, what we say, we do also. So that's probably one of the things that draws me to this church, or drew the family to the church.
I love the people. I find them interesting and warm and engaging. I feel there's a real sense of community here that I like, and I love the music. The services are probably, of course, the main thing. I find the services to be a combination of spiritually grounding, intellectually stimulating, moving, and just very, it sort of, speaks to my heart, it speaks to my mind. The services are kind of very all-encompassing, and so that, and another thing that keeps me coming is having an opportunity every week to be with a group of people who share my values, and an opportunity to explore with those people what that means in terms of, how we want to live in the world.
Well, the thing that attracted me was that it was a different type of church experience than what I had. My background was Catholic, was Roman Catholic, and was very pedantic and very, you had to believe in this and believe in that. It never, in my estimation, spoke to my experience and who I was. And, I was always taught to question things. When I came here, it was the lack of a theistic approach, but the theology really touched me. It spoke to who I was. The other thing is the community. I mean, being part of a community all these years has meant a lot. And as I get older, it even means more to be part of a community. Yeah, that's it.
I think that, it's always really nice to have things perfect, and we have a wonderful congregation, and I think that, the one thing that we could work on is trying to find ways to, recruit, we don't recruit, but make ourselves attractive to younger individuals. It's something I am concerned with, but as a younger adult, I'll consider myself a younger adult. I feel like we have so much to offer, and I would love us to be able to get ourselves out into the community so that people could join us and be able to feel how we feel about the space we share.
At this present time, I think the RU program has to be greatly improved, and hopefully with the search of a new minister, that should improve once we get a minister. And with Joanna, I think she's doing an excellent job. So I see things really looking up for this church in the future.
We can be improved. Always room for growth is true, and always room for more people to come. More outreach, I think, should happen. That's what I think. Anywhere you have that's a great place to be. To me, I always want more people to come. I invite my friends and family, whoever I call family, etc., to hear and see what I'm experiencing. So, whether they come one at a time or 10 at a time, or or for whatever event, as long as they come in and experience it.
What I'd like is that there's a lot of work to do, and there is a lot of work to do. What I think could be improved is that more people could participate in that work. It would be nice if everybody was not heavily involved, but that everyone was pulling their weight, and that would be very useful.
Improved. I think getting our story out there to the wider community. I think there are a lot of people in the wider community that would enjoy being here, would enjoy knowing about here. I think we just need to. I don't know if I'd say we're reluctant, but I think we should be, just actively trying to get our story out there. I know sometimes, once people start talking about church and and sort of marketing and things like that, I know that can be a little touchy. But I think everyone here is so genuine. We're a really genuine, loving community. I think. I just think that it makes sense to me. I think we need to get our story out there so that people know that we're here.
We could certainly always have more money to do stuff. We're pretty, from a building perspective, we're pretty good shape. We've we've kept up with things, and we did have several very generous donations over the years that allowed us to put the kitchen in and to make improvements in the building. And then we were able to put the wheelchair lift in, which helped make it more accessible. So the building is in pretty good shape, but it still needs, there's still a need for people to take ownership in a lot of areas. So that's where I think it's still a challenge. I mean, we're an older community, so not everybody can climb up on the roof and do stuff like that. But there's still little things that people can do, and that's what we need. We depend on each other as a group, and everybody contributes whatever they can.
What could be improved? I think the hospitality service could be improved. So when members don't show up for a while, they could give them a call and see how they're doing, and let them know that they care about them.
The main thing that I think could change is the name of the congregation. I feel that the current name doesn't actually reflect who we are as a congregation or what we stand for. So I would like to see there be a name that's more in keeping with our values and what we are about. Other than that, I guess I would like it if the building had a few less obvious Christian crosses, but most of the main ones have been concealed. So I guess the only thing would be just the constraints of this building, both in that way and also just physical space constraints. But otherwise, I can't really think of anything I would change.
Well, I would love to see restoration bloom even more and because I feel like what's going on here is so good. It's so excellent in terms of people sharing things of importance and things that appeal to the head and also to the heart and also to our capacity to take action. I feel like a lot of that, there are a lot of things here in this congregation where those things can come to the fore, and I'd like to see that come to the fore even more.
Well, I think that they would get more members in the community more people in the community becoming members, and also I see them playing an important role in advocating for racial and economic justice.
I think we have some really exciting things coming on where, we're doing a pastoral search right now. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that I see for the near future is some exciting new energy within our walls and some new, hopefully some pastoral counseling and all of those things and leadership, which I think are wonderful things to look forward to.
For the near future, I see a lot of work continuing with the social justice. And this is one of the things that makes me proud to be a member of this church. That there's so many people active, not in just one aspect of justice, but in many other aspects of justice, whether it's institutionalized racism or whether it's the prison reform, or whether it's the environment, which a lot of people pass over, like they don't realize things are happening and that will maybe not affect them, but will affect their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
I think restoration is going to continue as a small church, 100-member church. I think that's our niche. And I think we serve it very well, and there's a need for a small church where everybody kind of knows everybody.
I think for the near future, we're going to continue doing what we are doing, and that is fighting the good fight and resisting the political situation of our times right now. And I think there's a lot of work to be done in that regard, and so for the near future, I think that's what we're going to be focused on.
I think I think we're going to be successful at getting the story out there. I think we're going to draw more people who are looking for a community like this. I think we're going to draw them here. The city and the state and the country and the world is changing, and I think what's offered here, through this community and through Unitarian Universalism in general, I think is very appealing for a lot of people, and I think a lot of it is just. I think about my own journey here. I at one point never thought I would step foot in a church again, and I just didn't know that a place like this existed, and I'm very glad it does, and that's why I'm here.
Ed says to me, he said, I can take off $100.
Did you talk to Project Loon?
Yeah.
We had a discount for the third child.
Is that right? Yeah. I didn't get that far. So he said, so I asked him, was that $100 a kid? He said, no, it was like $100. That's not gonna work.
Such a guy. Such a guy. Okay, thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you for your contributions. Oh, there's more.
There is more. There is more.
Oh, that's right.
Steve is going to stay here. Steve has gone down for the trophies. And we've got beautiful ones this year with nice printing on them and everything. And we are going to vote the same way that we do in the past. If you want to, please stand up if you have a costume, or if you think you have a costume, or whatever. But, yes.